folks. A few words of wisdom before we get started today. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. I like that. All right, getting into algebra. So switching gears. These notes, you can read the title, More Story Problems. So they are definitely story problem heavy. I just want to quickly review some kind of messy multi-step equations, okay? So I'm going to walk through these. So on number one, my first step is to make sure I distribute. So I recopy everything else. 8z minus 22 is equal to, and now I distribute 9z plus 33, and I drop down that negative z. My next step is to combine any terms on the same side of the equal sign. So 8z minus 22 gets dropped down. 9z minus z is 8z, and then drop down everything else. At this point, we're going to start with our variable terms to get them to one side. And so I will subtract 8z from both sides. 8z minus 8z is 0, so I'm going to drop down negative 22 equals 33. This right here is a no solution because my variables canceled out. My numbers do not equal each other, so a no solution, so make sure you write that down. Now for number two. Number two, there's a lot more going on here. So again, our first step is to distribute and then recopy everything else. So we have 2a minus 16 plus 7 is equal to 10a plus 10, then minus 3a minus 19. Now I'm going to combine like terms on both sides of my equal sign. So when I do that, I get 2a minus 9 is equal to 7a minus 9. Okay? So everything is simplified as much as possible on either side of the equal sign. Now we're going to get variable terms to one side and then constants to the other. So I'm going to start by subtracting 2a from both sides. So I get negative 9 is equal to 5a minus 9. Now my constants to the other side, so I'm going to add 9 to both sides. Negative 9 plus 9 is 0. When I have nothing else to write, we have to write 0. Drop down equals, drop down 5a. My last step, to solve for a, I divide both sides by 5. 0 divided by 5 is 0, so a equals 0. Okay, and again, you can write it as a equals 0. Either answer is acceptable. Okay? Hope that was a good review. Now we're going to get into these story problems. So starting with number 3, we're going to separate 89 into two parts so that the first part is 4 less than twice the second part. Find each part. Now that's a mouthful in one sentence. So let's go ahead and label our variables. So and the other thing that I'm going to notice is I do have two parts. So we're going to separate 89 into two parts. We have a first part is 4 less than twice the second part. Notice how they don't describe anything about the second part, but they do describe the first part. So I'm going to actually write an expression for each one. So they describe the first part. They don't say anything about the second part. And when they don't say anything about the second part, that is your x. Okay? And that first part is 4 less than twice the second. So if the second is x, that's 2x. Remember, less than is going to always be minus 4. It's that flip around. Okay? That flip around. Now, these two parts add up to 89, and that's how we're going to create that equation. So 2x minus 4 plus x is equal to 89, and now we'll go ahead and solve this. So combining like terms on the same side of the equal sign, I get 3x minus 4 is equal to 89, and I'm going to add 4 to each side. We get 3x is equal to 93. Divide each side by 3. We have x is equal to 31. Okay, now it did say find each part, so let's go ahead and do that for our final step. That the first part is going to be 2 times 31 minus 4. Okay, 2 times 31 is 62 minus 4. We get 58. So this is my first part. My second part is just x, so that's 31. And to quickly check my answer, 31 plus 58 is 89, so it works. Okay, let's move on to number 4. Now for number 4, we're talking about the perimeter of a rectangle is 146 inches. That's important. We're talking about perimeter of a rectangle is 146 inches. Find its dimensions, so that means the length and the width. The length is 17 inches greater than 3 times the width. Okay? Now they don't describe anything about the width, right? Since they don't say anything about the width, you know width is equal to x. Let's write down an expression for our length. The length is 17 inches greater than 3 times the width. Okay? So that'll be 17 plus 3x. You can always write it as 3x plus 17 as well. Now we're going to remember that perimeter of a rectangle is adding up all the sides. Now, for a perimeter, the width has 2 sides and the length has 2 sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use this formula for the perimeter of a rectangle. Okay? If the perimeter is 146 inches, I'm going to put 146 in for P. We're going to remember we add up all the sides for the rectangle. There's 2 widths and 2 lengths, so it's going to be 2 times x plus 2 times 17 plus 3x. Okay, so again, I'm putting my length in for L. Okay, and now we'll go ahead and solve. So 146 is equal to 2x. I'm going to start with distributing, so 2 times 17 is 34. 2 times 3x is 6x. Combine like terms on that side of the equal sign, and I get 8x plus 34. And now to solve, I'll go ahead and subtract 34 from both sides. 146 minus 34 is 112, equal to 8x. To finish this up, we'll divide both sides by 8. X is 14. It did say to find the dimensions. So the width we know is 14 inches. The length, 17 plus 3 times 14. 17 plus 42, sorry, and altogether that is 59 inches. Perfect. Okay. Now for number 5. Number 5 is another perimeter problem. Okay. So again, we're going to remember that perimeter is adding up all the sides. You don't necessarily had to have used this formula. We could have just added x plus 17 plus 3x plus 17 plus 3x. So just showing it 4 times. Okay, I just kind of simplified it here. Now for number 5, though, they're talking about a triangle. The first side of a triangle is 4 centimeters longer than the second side. The third side is 3 centimeters longer than twice the second side. The perimeter is 25. How long is each side? Now for a triangle, we know there's no formula for perimeter. But again, I'm going to write down an expression for each of the sides and then think about which side did the story problem describe nothing about. That will be our x. So we have a first side, a second side, and a third side. So kind of rereading, they compare the first side to the second and then the third side to the second. So it's the second side that they don't say anything about. That's your unknown. That's your variable. So going back and rewriting the expression for the first side, it's 4 centimeters longer than the second, so that should be x plus 4. The third is 3 centimeters shorter than twice the second, so that is 2x minus 3. Okay, so it's shorter than, which is similar to that less than. Okay, now let's come up with our equation. So remember, we're going to add these all up, set it equal to the perimeter. So we'll have x plus 4 plus x plus 2x minus 3 all equal to my perimeter of 25. Now again, we'll combine like terms. I have 4x plus 1 is equal to 25, and now we can solve for x. That simple two-step equation here. 4x is equal to 24. We divide each side by 4, and x is equal to 6. Okay, and we're talking about 6 centimeters. Now, how long is each side? I'm just going to do it right back here where I started. 6 plus 4 is 10, so the first side is 10 centimeters. My second side is 6 centimeters. And my third side, 2 times 6 is 12. 12 minus 3 is 9 centimeters. Okay. So we'll do a few more story problems together right now. Okay, so flip it over. Mine is actually on a separate sheet. So here we go. Let's do number 6. So for number 6, it says find 3 consecutive integers whose sum is 96. So we have to think about what consecutive means. Consecutive means numbers that go right in a row in order. So one example, 0, 1, 2, 3, these are consecutive integers. Okay, now you can have negative integers as well. So you could have something like negative 15, negative 16, negative 17. These are also consecutive integers. They're just negative. Again, they go right in a row, right in order, in numerical order. So that is your consecutive. Okay? So coming back to number 6, we're going to find 3 consecutive integers. So we don't know anything about the first one, right? So let's label that x. We know that the second consecutive integer is going to be 1 more than x. So that'll be x plus 1. Then the third consecutive integer, again, we're going to compare it to x, our first one. It's going to be 2 more than x. Okay. Now it says all of these consecutive integers, the sum is 96. So I'm going to add these all up, set it equal to 96. So we'll have x plus 1 plus x plus 2 equal to 96. 1, 2, 3 x's plus 3 is equal to 96. I have 3x is equal to 93. Divide both sides by 3, not x. X is equal to 31. Okay, so if 31 is my first integer, then my second integer has to be 32, right? 31 plus 1. And my third integer, 31 plus 2, is 33. Now, if I add this all up, it has to equal 96. So 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 9, and then 96. So this works. Okay. It is important that you check your answer with these kinds of story problems. Okay, let's try this again for number 7, because I know these are a little bit tricky. So for number 7, it says 3 consecutive even integers whose sum is negative 12. Okay, so they might be negative values because my sum is negative 12. So we're finding 3, so I'm going to write down first, second, third. Okay. They don't describe the first one, so I'm going to label that x. Now that I know what the first one is, I can use that to help me figure out the rest of my integers. Now they say even integers, right? So for even integers, I'm just going to do an example of even integers off to the side. You don't need to write this down. It could be like 10, 12, 14, right? So to get from 10 to 12, don't I add 2 each time? And then 12 to 14. Okay, we'll add 2 each time. So x plus 2, x plus 4. Again, so for the third one, I'm comparing it to the first value. So we'll add 4 at that point. So you can use this example to help you. 10 plus 4, I get back 14 for that third integer. Okay, now it says we're finding the sum, so let's take these integers and add them all up. X plus 2 plus x plus 4, all equal to negative 12. Okay, so when I add this together, 1, 2, 3x plus 6 equal to negative 12. Now I'm going to solve. So I subtract 6 from both sides. I have 3x is equal to negative 18. Divide by 3. X is equal to negative 6. So if I put negative 6 in for x, negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. Negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. Now let me check my answer. Negative 6 and negative 4 is negative 10, and then a minus 2 more is negative 12, so it does work. Okay. Now at this point, I think I will do the last 3 together in class. Okay, and so we'll have to move quickly when I see you next time for these last 3. Okay, so that's it for these notes.